Welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to use graphite pencils and a little bit of charcoal to draw out a shark on toned paper. Toned paper is fun because you've already got your mid value there, so that's one less thing that you have to draw in. And so I have my shark all mapped out on a grid, and I charcoaled the back lines with this guy, transferred it down, and so I'm ready to go. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the 2B, and I'm going to put a little paper towel here so that my hand, it doesn't soil the paper and act like a magnet for the graphite and the charcoal. So I'm going to start from this side and work across this way so that I don't keep smudging my work as I go. So once you have transferred it down, you're going to sort of see some lines that are going to need just a little bit of a touch up. I'm also just going to sort of notice where I see little highlights on here, and I'm just going to just sort of shape those out. See, the top of the fin is a bit of a, it's sort of all textured, but I'm going to just simplify it. Just makes it a lot easier. And then sort of like this line here, I think I'll just sort of just lightly dust it in. He's got some fins here. I'm going to throw that in. His eye is here. His little nostril is there. Got his teeth in here. And then there's a, this basically the underbelly, the dark shape. So I'm just going to pencil that in, but the darkest is sort of there. Alrighty, so I'm going to start from this side with a sharp pencil, and I'm going to start penciling this in. And I'm only concerned with getting a mid value down. You just want to start, you want to build up your layers. And an easy way to just sort of pencil this in is just put your finger along the edge here. Helps you keep in the lines. And it's totally fine if you aren't, because you can erase that out later. So I'm just trying to do one value across here, okay? One value, sort of like a mid value. And my eyes are darting back and forth between my subject matter and my work. Nice big shadow shape here. I'm going to pop that in. It goes up around the nose, along the top of his head. My eyes are going back and forth. Alrighty, I might just draw in some more detail on these fins. Not going super dark yet. That side of the fin. Give a little shadow inside of the mouth. And when you're going around the teeth, hold your pencil up and down so you have absolute control of where you're laying down your value shape. So a nice little detail, because you'll see that we are sort of looking up at the shark here. So a nice little detail would be just sort of go like that a little bit. Just a little suggestion that we're sort of looking up into the mouth. And the eye. I like to leave just a little glint of light just to make it look, alive. So that's a good start for my first coat of medium. So now I'm going to grab my 8B and go in and put in another coat over my darkest darks. And see, I am not choked up on my pencil. I'm holding it way out. Back and forth. Also keeping it pretty consistent with its darkness. And you'll notice how I'm not punching, a lot of pressure. If you put too much pressure, graphite will just, it will compress the texture of your paper and it'll become shiny, which can be a distraction. So you'll see this darkest dark right underneath here. I'm just keeping my eye on that. Going up underneath here. This is sort of how we build out the volume and the shape of him. You see how the flesh kind of goes around like this? So I'm going to let my strokes kind of emulate that. Up here. Okay, now I am going to go in with a little bit of this. This is scary. You don't have to do this. This is got a real punch, and I'm going to do it anyways, but I'm going to be very gingerly with it because it doesn't, this stuff does not move around very easily on the paper with the stump tool, but I do want to get a full value range. So if I do punch it in, I'm going to put it where I absolutely know I want to keep it. So I'm barely touching the surface. Noticing where the darks are. And if you can get a full range of values in your drawing, it just makes it more dramatic, more interesting to the viewer. Getting that full range, but it takes a little courage. And I must say it's taken me a long time to get brave with my darks. I'll pop in that eye again. And you're just sort of looking generally, where are the darkest darks? So I'm going to put a little bit there. And it's also up here. And that's not a shadow. That's just the coloring of his flesh. So here I am with my stump tool now, starting from over here in this fine shape here. And it's like painting. Nice long strokes. See, the stump tool really, it can behave like a brush. So I want to sort of hide my tracks here, so I'm just going to smooth this all out. Get back into the point, holding it straight up and down, just like my pencil when I'm going to find lines. And I'm going to stretch this out, turn the stump tool on its side a bit more now. And just like when you're painting, you're going to come across stuff that you've done, you'll be like, not sure if I like that. Did I just scare myself? And then you can just take an eraser to anything and just adjust as you go. So I'm dusting super light here. I don't want to go super dark. I'm really keeping an eye on my reference. It's my guide. It's telling me really where to go. So now this is fully loaded. So as I go, I'm being cautious. Get into the eye. Smooth that out a little bit. Now I'm going to grab the white charcoal and I'm looking for some highlights. So it's got a lot of texture here, and that's the light shining through the water surface. So I'm just going to sort of make up my own little story there. It's very white here, so I'm just going to fill all that in. Top of the fin. Right into there. And my hand isn't even touching down right now. But if you want to have some fun with like a watery reflection on top, you can sort of make these sort of weird little shapes. And it'll feel weird because you will have never done that before probably. Water reflections on animals are actually, it's kind of hard. And then it's sort of the highlight sort of fades out as it comes forward. There is a little highlight around the eye. And here I'm going to grab a little highlight. And make sure you get that little, I'm going to go back in for some refinement here. get that little grimace of his mouth there. That is super important. I'm going to sort of tidy up, sharpen up some of these lines with a graphite pencil. And then I can go in with my kneaded eraser and just lift off. These things are great because you can sort of fold it into a little point and micromanage what you want to erase. And you can just sort of lift stuff off. Fast forward, I also went in and just did some sort of little scribbles for the water, and you know, rubbed them with the stump tool, and then I went in with some white, and you can just sort of see, I think, how it just gives it just so much more interest to the viewer to suggest, you know, where he is, that he's near the surface, he's somewhere. And so if you want to just put in a little bit more information, if you are going to do the shark painting for the next project, you know, think about that. And maybe there could be some other little fishies floating around or something like that. So that could be cool too. Alrighty.